So how soon after the season do you start working out?
I did a week of nothing, and then a week of running around doing cardio, playing basketball and stuff.
Okay.
And then start lifting again.
And you get pretty antsy?
Yeah, I get really antsy. I'm not a big sit around guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go do something. So, I'll either run around the neighborhood or, we have that basketball court right across the street. I'll go play over there some. So.
Does the travel wear on you during the season?
I don't know. I don't know why, but I guess definitely when I'm here in Dallas, I don't ever want to go anywhere. So during the off season, I just I like to stay here. Maybe that might be a result of traveling so much, but other than like time zone change and stuff, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is telling Ellen I got people looking. No,
Yeah.
telling Ellen I spent time in Africa too. Been to Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, and South Africa.
Oh, wow, cool.
Probably like 6 weeks there or so
Yeah.
over the course of a couple of years. And it's like you always, like after you go, you want to get back every year. And then it's like life just kind of gets in the way.
I know, I hear you.
That's an amazing part of the world though.
It is, yeah, it is.
If you ever have time, like when we were in, some of the like fun stuff to do when we were there, South Africa, we went down in shark cages to see the great white sharks.
Yeah, those are where all the sharks are right there.
Yeah, you have like 10, 12 foot,
That's
great
awesome.
white sharks swimming all around.
I bet that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And
Yeah.
then they have like the world's highest bungee jump in
Really?
South Africa. And then Rwanda, you can go gorilla trekking to see like the
really?
almost extinct mountain gorillas.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, that's a lot different than
Yeah, we've been to Vic Falls a few times in Zimbabwe, and I've done the
zip line thing.
well, I kind of did the bungee jump. They call it a swing.
Okay.
But it's basically instead of head first, it's feet first.
Okay.
It's almost weird, scarier, but like basically just free fall straight down, and then the instead of just like hanging there, the swing catches you and you start going like this. So it was pretty fun though.
Where was I think it was China or somewhere. There's a famous one somewhere else where somebody was doing it and the thing busted.
Yeah, the same spot. Zimbabwe.
Oh, it was Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it was
okay.
like a year
okay,
after.
I thought it might have been that, but I don't.
Probably not the smartest thing I've ever done, but it was fun. Good story.
So, first the Cy Young.
Yeah.
How satisfying is it to win?
It's definitely a cool feeling. I'm not really sure. You never expect to win anything like that. Growing up, you always think about trying to make it to the big leagues and doing that type of stuff. So, but you never think about actually winning awards or winning World Series or things like that. So, to get to do that and get to be associated with those names is really cool. And it really is just a huge honor.
And it's interesting, you said that, I read your book and enjoyed it, and you talked about it in your book how, your dream was to make it to the big leagues, but you never really dreamed of doing anything special.
Yeah, well, I think any kid, you always want to, I love baseball, and so obviously you want to be a professional baseball player, but the dream never really goes past that. You just want to be in the big leagues, and you don't really think about all that other stuff that you want to have success, you want to win World Series and things like that. So it definitely is beyond anything I ever dreamed about, and it's fun.
How did you celebrate?
So we had some really good friends and family over here. Just people kind of close to us, and that way if it didn't go our way, if we didn't win or anything like that, at least we'd still have a party anyway. So
did you really think there was any chance that you wouldn't win?
You never know. You never know. You never want to assume anything. You never want to, especially it doesn't look great if you have a big blowout party before, So we just wanted to make sure to kind of keep it toned down, and then after that we started telling people to come by and say hi and stuff like that. So we had a fun time though.
Your friend and Dodgers teammate, Sean Tallison, said when he was talking to you, if you didn't win it, you really would have felt like you lost. What's the kind of mindset there? Is that just kind of because you're so competitive?
I don't know if it's I guess you do kind of in a way lose but to be associated, be a finalist is pretty cool in itself. But once you get to that point, obviously you want to win. So, you don't really think about it, but ever since they started naming these 3 finalists, you kind of let yourself start thinking about it a little bit. And, even last year too, when I got second, R.A. Dickey won. I knew I had a pretty good idea that R.A. was going to win, but there's still that glimmer of hope, when you're doing all the interviews and people are coming to your house that, hey, I might actually win this thing. So, I guess there's a little bit of disappointment if you don't win, and then obviously it's pretty cool when you do.
We were talking about big league dreams when you were growing up. There was a student leadership class that you took in high school, and I think because you were going after your wife Ellen at the time, but there was a topic that came up about dreams and influential people, and you speak about in your book how that was actually kind of a defining moment for you.
Yeah, well, I never wanted to take any extra class than I had to. So Ellen's mom had signed her up for this leadership class, and I started thinking Ellen was pretty cool, and I wanted to hang out with her a little bit more. So I figured I'd get in good with the parents and go to the class, and it was a leadership class, and he was talking about getting acclimated into high school, and starting to do some extracurricular activities or sports or whatever it may be, and he started talking about dreams and what you might want to do now to get to that point, and he started asking people what they want to do, and I was kind of bluntly but matter-of-factly just kind of said I want to play baseball, I want to be a baseball player, and he wasn't intentional about it, but he started rattling off all the stats about all the odds that are against you, and 1% go to college, and then 1% of that goes to the minor leagues, and just there from there and there and there. So I kind of took that personally a little bit. It kind of motivated me in a way, and just to be like, hey, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And
did it really bother you at the time?
It did. I kind of got upset a little bit. I just wasn't expecting that response because when you're a kid, you never really think about the odds or the negative side of it. You want to play baseball, and it's going to happen. You don't really think about that until you get a little older. But
and this is a teacher too. I mean, somebody that's supposed to be encouraging.
Yeah, well, I don't think he meant it like that. I think he was just trying to, kind of be a realist. Mm-hmm. And it was good for me though. I never really thought about the other side. Well, this might be kind of hard, and it's not just going to be handed to me. So I think that was good for me to motivate me and work at it a little bit.
I want to take you through some of the notable games throughout your career, one of which in high school, you're playing Justin Northwest High School playoff game, and you pitch an all-strikeout perfect game. At what point in that game did you really know, something's going on here?
Well, I have to be honest. It was just 5 innings because it was a mercy rule. So,
but perfect game's a perfect game.
Yeah, I mean it was. So you don't really think about it though, because it was only 5 innings, and you play 7 innings in high school. So I hadn't let myself think about it. But we ended up scoring that 10th run. We won 10-0, and it just kind of happened like that. And I don't think I even realized what happened until after the game had ended, and people started telling me what was going on.
You didn't realize you struck out every single
I don't remember now. I might have known, but I think I was probably focused on pitching the next inning, so I didn't really think about it. But it was cool. It was a good game for Logan White, the scouting director for the Dodgers, happened to be at that game, and that worked out well. I'm glad he was there for that one.
Right. Was the crowd into it at the time, or was it kind of
7 years ago? I can't really remember. I think it was really fun. I do remember that. I do remember, people coming up to me after the game and, telling me congratulations and things like that. And it was a playoff game, so it did mean a lot for us. And, it was just, I really didn't think about it a whole lot.
I think you guys, from talking to Sean Tollison, you guys used to have fun playing ball and on the road. Yeah. You guys would travel and all of that. He told me you guys used to kind of play pranks and whatnot. Yeah. How about a Tulsa, Oklahoma hotel room when there was all the games were rained out, and I guess 6 guys in a bed and the maid walks in? Or
yeah, I mean, I couldn't even go into. Sean is such a big prankster. We had a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. I've known Sean since we were 13 or 14, so to be on the same team now that when we were 13 is pretty special. But yeah, he is a really good prankster. I just tried to follow along. I'm going to blame it all on him.
Oh,
whatever we did, I'm going to blame on him.
You guys do anything now?
Prank-wise, Sean's a big scarer. He loves to scare people. So we live together. We kind of did. Him and his wife and me and my wife lived together in spring training, and it's kind of fun for 6 weeks just to kind of hang out. But every time you turn a corner, you got to be careful because either Sean or somebody is trying to scare the bejesus out of you. So it was pretty fun. We got some good laughs out of that.
How about May 2008? You're playing for the Dodgers minor league team, the Jacksonville Suns. It's a game against the Carolina Mudcats, and you're pitching. And after the first inning, the manager pulls you.
Yeah.
Take it from there.
Well, I thought I did something wrong. I was like, what is going on? I asked our manager, what's the deal? And he said, don't worry about it. Just go in the clubhouse and hang out because you can't tell me anything yet.
And genuinely, you thought something was wrong?
Well, I started getting, after I started thinking about it, I was like, what could possibly this be about? But so I had 8 innings to think about it until the game ended. So I'm sitting in the clubhouse and I'm like, what is going on? And after the game, he calls me in the clubhouse and, tells me that, I got called up. And it was a special time for me. I still remember it. He tells me I can't tell anybody family-wise because, the other person on the Dodgers is going to get cut or released, and he doesn't know yet, so don't tell anybody until we tell him. But I couldn't hold it in. I went and called Ellen. I went and called, I told her to just kind of round up as many people as you can and get to LA. And it worked out. We had, probably 20 or 25 people at my first game, and it was pretty cool.
Well, you said it was when you actually found out. You wrote it was the most ridiculous feeling you've ever experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Like in what ways?
Just, I think during the minor leagues when you play all that time, and you always know that that's what you're working for, but during the season, you don't really think about that. You're just kind of playing. And so once it hits, it's like the initial shock, like, oh my gosh, my dreams come true. I'm going to the big leagues. And then a matter of, oh my gosh, I really have to do this. I have to get people out. I want to stay up there. And so there's a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, a lot of excitement. It's just kind of a whirlwind.
What did you say when you called the first person?
I said, Ellen, don't tell anybody, but I got called up. And Ellen, she's probably one of the more enthusiastic people in the world. So it's really fun to get to celebrate things with her. And she was just so ecstatic for me. And I think I was still kind of in shock. But, once she started celebrating and I saw, I heard her excitement, I started getting excited too.
So how does Jason Schmidt play into the first day with the big league club?
Yeah, well, Schmitty, he's a prankster too. He was kind of an older veteran guy, but he loves to joke around and stuff. So, I'm pitching the Sunday day game, and I show up Saturday night, and I get to watch the game. And Jason, they put my locker right next to his, and I'm not really thinking about it, and I kind of just reach into the locker and grab what I thought was my jersey, and it happened to be his, and he noticed right away. So he told everybody in the clubhouse not to say anything. So I walk out for the national anthem, and we all have to stand on the rail. And Jason thinks it's hilarious. The national anthem starts, and they pull up on my face, and then they go straight to the back, and it says Schmidt 29 on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, first day in the big leagues, and the whole team was just cracking up. It was a good welcome to the big leagues moment.
Were you having fun with it at the time, or were you like?
Oh, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I really was. It's one thing if you know a joke's happening, but if you literally have no idea, it's a little bit different.
What did anybody say anything to you afterwards?
Yeah, I went straight into the clubhouse and changed, but he actually was wearing my jersey too, so it was. But he knew it was going on, so he enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
Kershaw's Challenge, your charity, obviously you and your wife Ellen have spent a considerable amount of time now in Africa. I understand before you first went, there was a reluctance, hesitation on your part to actually go over there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of anxiety that goes into going over there, I think, and Ellen had talked about it forever, and and once she came back from that first time, I knew I was going to have to go because it was such a big part of her life, and I say have to because it wasn't really on my heart. It really wasn't a passion of mine, but I wanted to support her in that, and so when I went over there, talk about you're going in January, you still got to work out, you still got to throw. I was worried about all that. I was worried about the flights, just how long it takes to get over there, and but once I got there, it was eye-opening, and all the stuff that she talked about, she really just said you just have to see it, and it's really true. I got off the plane and went straight into the villages and just started seeing everything, and it really does. It opens your eyes, and it was a really incredible experience.
How would you describe what you saw the first time you went?
You understand that Africa is a third world country, but until you go over there and you see the living conditions that some of these people are living in, it touches you. It's hard to see. But then the other thing I noticed right off the bat was these kids that are running around the streets are they're smiling, they're joyful, their culture, they're just so happy with, as long as their basic needs are met, they're a really happy culture. And that was pretty awesome to see too. And it kind of, I started thinking about back here, if we don't get the right Christmas present, we're upset, and these people, if they have the right food, clothing, and shelter, they're the most joyful culture I've ever seen.
Right, and you don't realize you were talking before the interview, and I mentioned I spent some time in Africa too, and you don't realize how dire the poverty actually is in some of these areas until you actually can see it firsthand, because nothing you see in a magazine or on TV can really, do it justice.
Yeah, I mean, until you make it real, until it's until you really see it and feel it and understand what these people are living in a day-to-day culture and society, it is tough to explain. And Ellen would try, but until she kind of said, until you go over there, you're really just not going to understand the part of my life. So 3 weeks after we got married, I was over there with her.
Was that the honeymoon?
Well, we had a honeymoon before, but that was a tough off season travel wise. But it was well worth it.
That was the thing that impressed me too. I spent time in Kibera's slums in Nairobi, Kenya, like 800,000 people living on 600 acres, and these kids who, malnourished, have limited hope. They're running around with a smile on their face, and it is. You said it wasn't depressing.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the whole thought behind Kershaw's challenge. Our charity is that we didn't do anything to deserve what we have, and it's just a huge blessing that we get to be in this country, get to go home to warm meals, and get to sleep with the roof over our head and stuff like that. And so with that in mind, to whom much is given, much is expected, and so that's. We want to be able to give back, and I think that's just the better you do, the more you give. That's kind of the way Kershaw's challenge is kind of the theme of it, and we want to be able to help people, and it's just it is tough to see, but and it gets overwhelming because you see so much poverty, and you're like, well, what can one person do? But once you get going, once you just take that first step, the steps align pretty easily after that.
So you have an orphanage that you guys have created. I believe 9 orphans live there now, ranging in age from one who's 5 or 6 to 18 years old. How did the idea really come to fruition for the orphanage?
Hope, little girl named Hope. That's probably the starting point for all this. She was a fighter, but she needed help, and Ellen kind of instantly felt a connection with her, and called me, and she just said, I don't know why, but we need to do something. And so we started sponsoring her, and we were able to get her some food and some medication. She's HIV positive, and she just needed her meds, but in order to take her meds, she needed the right food to combat the medicine, and it was just that was a good starting point, but she needed more. She needed a family. She needed a place to call home, and that's what started Kershaw's challenge. Kind of, we wanted to build a home for her and give her a spot, and now she's doing great. I think she might be 14, I think, by now, or 13 or 14, and she is just she's doing great. She's one of the 9 in the orphanage. She's got house moms that love her to death, that take care of her. She's going to school every day, and just like all these other kids, and that's the reward of what we get to see this kid that might not have made it to where she is now, and it's a pretty cool thing.
And to give this some context, some of these areas are places where no electricity, no sewage, no running water, consistent meals are rarity for people that live in some of these, areas, and you could see a 12-year-old girl raising her brothers and sisters in like a shack that they live in because they don't have parents. They've died of AIDS. Tell about the plans that you guys have to renovate the school and then build the community center?
Yeah, so the orphanage is running great, and obviously we're going to still support that and make sure that that's always up and running and a good spot for these kids to go. And but we've also worked with a school called Destiny School, and it's probably a 15-minute, 20-minute drive from the orphanage, and we've met with their headmaster over there, and they do great work. They just are confined in their space. You know, they've just got too many kids in one class, and so the money that we raise this year is going to go towards building some more classrooms onto the school and really just expanding it and you know, giving these kids a better chance to learn. So there's you know 20 or 30 in a class as opposed to 50 or 60 or 75 even at times, and that's what the majority of the money is going to this year. And then yeah, our overarching theme is we kind of want to build just like a place where people can go. You know, maybe not spend the night there, but at least can go and you know, get a meal and just kind of, you know, maybe go to a microfinance class and learn how to make money, and so they can kind of, you know, be self-sufficient. You know, just things like that. We're calling it a community center. That's kind of a longer-term goal, but hopefully, you know, in the next few years we can start building on that, and that'd be a really cool thing to see. I think it can touch a lot more people because with an orphanage, you get to help, you know, maybe 10 kids out at a time. But with this, you know, hopefully hundreds are moving in and out and in and out, and you know, that would be a pretty cool thing.
I was told to ask about the music that you use to get yourself pumped up.
That was probably more of a high school thing.
But it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
yeah.
funny. Some of the songs you have playing in like the Dodgers facilities.
Oh
as you're
yeah,
working out. I mean,
Yeah.
they aren't exactly the like hard rock songs that you'd expect a big time pitcher to be blaring.
It's so you know, workouts. Day one is so I call day one the day after you pitch, and so that's a really fun day for me. I get to go in there and just kind of get to blow it out, workout wise, running wise, and it's always fun when you get a group in there and you're kind of working out together. It's just a lot more fun that way. But I definitely like to blare some music in there and just kind of, I call it getting weird. A lot of guys, you know, started getting on the bandwagon with me, so it was pretty fun.
Yeah, but getting weird, you know, Ellen put Beyonce in the book that you would blare that going to the stadium. So then I asked some of your teammates, and I heard it was, you know, in addition to Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Kelly Clarkson, Avril Lavigne.
Yeah,
those are the go-tos.
They're all classics. They really are. They're good songs. You know,
but those are it's like the pop songs.
You know, I like the pop songs. I'm starting to like the electronic house music, just the beats that go on and on and on. So like after 3 hours, your head's just like about to explode. But that's you know, that's pretty fun, the remixes and stuff like that.
I understand on game day when you're actually pitching, there will be times when teammates come up to you and say something to you, and they're literally looking right at you, and you just won't hear them because you're like that focused.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my teammates, Ellen says I've gotten better on game day about, you know, being able to communicate a little bit in the morning. I used to just kind of, not like mean or anything, but just kind of like emotionless, just kind of like not a fun person, not a lot of personality. And
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I guess I have like maybe some anxiety about pitching that night, and you know, I'm just thinking about it too much or something. But I think before I get to the field, I've gotten a lot better about that. But yeah, once I get to the field, like I think I'm still able to talk to guys and I'm still able to communicate. But you know, I definitely don't want to just shoot the breeze. You know, I'm not just sitting there, you know, wanting to, you know, ask guys how their day was.
Well, and it's interesting because your teammates have said that you've also noticeably gotten better with that. Like you'll hear things more that they say to you now than was the case, you know, even a year or two ago.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know whether I just thought I had to be that way, but it definitely helps me a little bit to. You know, I definitely have something in the back of my head that I have to pitch that night, and so I think that keeps me from, you know, wanting to bounce off the walls or wanting to like laugh with guys like I usually do every other day. But I think I definitely have gotten better and able to like at least talk to guys and, you know, be normal a little bit.
What are you thinking about on game day?
I mean, hopefully I can get some guys out. You know, I think nothing too specific.
I mean, is that it, or I mean, are you like
I just
anxiety filled? Or
well, I get nervous. You know, I get nervous for every time I pitch, and so I think that for me is a good. You know, mechanism to, you know, just kind of focus on what you got to do and maybe, sometimes think about, certain pitches and, oh, I want to strike this guy out. And so, just kind of visualizing it and stuff like that. It's kind of always on replay throughout the day and stuff like that.
Does the game tape that you watch of opposing hitters help at all?
Yeah, I watch. I never watch myself on video. I don't like doing that.
Really?
I know what I've done, so I don't need to see it. But I like watching other left-handed pitchers face the team that I'm pitching against. Really, not to watch what they do, but just kind of get a feel of what the guys in the batter's box are going to do, where they're standing, what they're just kind of what they look like, just to get familiar with them. And I'm not a huge studier, but I definitely want to be prepared and not see some guy that I've never seen before in the batter's box. I want to at least know what he looks like up there.
Back when you were 21, catcher Brad Ausmus said about you, quote, a lot of young guys with bullpens, they're just going to throw and throw their pitches until it feels right. The pitching coach usually has to drag them off the rubber. Clayton sticks to his routine regardless of how he feels, and he sticks to that routine every single bullpen. The only guy I've ever seen do that is Roger Clemens. Explain why.
Save your bullets. I think it's twofold. I don't ever want to blow it out in a bullpen because you're not getting anybody out. It doesn't really matter. And then
it's a conscious decision for you.
Yeah, for sure. There's bullpens that are terrible. That I understand. A lot of guys just want to keep throwing until they feel better, but. I think by that point during the season, you just got to have enough confidence to know that, hey, it's going to be right when you go out there. You're going to be fine. And, then the other thing is that, I'm a big routine guy. And I don't like to say superstitious, but I'm a big routine guy. I like doing the same stuff every fifth day. So same goes with bullpens too.
Why does the routine help you?
I think my rationale behind it is, every fifth day, I want to make sure that I've done everything I possibly could to be ready for that start. And so if I pitch bad, I don't want to have in the back of my mind, well, if I didn't change that, if I did that, then, I don't want to have that in the back of my mind. If I didn't pitch well, I just want to know, hey, I didn't pitch good, and that's it. So for me, that's probably the main reason why.
What emotions do you have as you're actually taking the mound?
That first time, nervous. I definitely, I always look around. I always kind of look around at the stadium and just kind of gather my surroundings a little bit and just kind of gain some feel a little bit. I always look around and then throw my warm-up pitches. And after, once that first pitch is thrown, I guess it's like, for me, what I say to myself is, all right, I remember how to do this. I'll be okay, But until that first pitch is thrown, you never, think, what if, what if I can't even throw a strike today? What if I walk the first four? You know what I mean? Just things like that, are constantly running through your head. But until I throw that first pitch, ball or strike, just to know that I can at least throw it and it's somewhere near the plate. I just gain instant confidence, and then I'm good to go from there.
What is it about the first pitch?
Obviously
you can throw.
Just to make sure that, you never know. You never know. Like, you warm up, but you go out into that game, and it takes a second. It just takes that one pitch against a batter to know that, you can compete. You can do this. You've done this before. This is normal to you, and maybe it's a little over the top, but for me, I need one pitch.
You're obviously around other pitchers all the time. To what extent do they share similar feelings walking to the mound in that first pitch?
I think every pitcher feels the nerves. I think every starting pitcher especially, I think that just shows that you care about what you're doing. You don't want to fail. And, I think anytime you don't want to fail at something, there's going to be some nerves because you want to succeed and you don't know if you're going to do it or not. So I think that everybody has that type of nerve situation. And I don't know if everybody kind of feels that after that first pitch. It might be after they're done with their bullpen. They're good, or I do feel like there's a certain time though when the nerves switch off and you feel confident in what you're doing.
You mentioned you look around the stadium. What do you see? What do you hear when you're out there on the mound?
I just kind of soak it all in just for a split second. I'll look up into the right field and just kind of soak it all in, really. Just kind of try to understand what you're doing and where you're at, and not too many people get to do it, and just kind of be thankful for that, and then go compete after that.
What about once the game starts? I mean, do you
Yeah,
see
I don't
or
really-
hear anything outside of?
I just try not to think once the game starts. I'm not a big thinker. After just go compete.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so you aren't thinking about even certain pitches or?
You try to think about the next pitch, but other than that, I mean, I'm not, oh, this guy, I need to throw this here. At the end of the day, just go compete and don't let anybody get a hit, and just be an absolute bulldog out there. And
Sounds pretty elementary.
yeah, I mean, never get tired, never show weakness, and just go out there and absolutely dominate somebody.
Have there been moments where you've had to avoid showing weakness or try and hide?
You're going to get emotional at times. You're going to be upset with the call, or you're going to be, frustrated you gave up a hit or something like that. But, I think showing a little emotion's okay. You don't need to be a stone face out there. But, you definitely have to hold some back for sure.
You're supposed to take 2 weeks off after the season to give your body a rest, just take some time.
Yeah.
But you have a really difficult time doing that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I take a week. I do take a week, but I feel like my body almost feels worse when I stop doing stuff. So, like, after that week, I feel way worse than I ever did during the season. And so I try to get going. And then the next week, even if I'll go shoot hoops, or I'll go run around the block, or, ride the bike, or do something. And that it kind of triggers it again. And I start feeling, as long as I can sweat a little bit every day, I feel like that's great. But then after those 2 weeks, you start getting into lifting again and getting into the fun stuff.
Well, and your wife was saying, I think it was maybe LA where you guys were after the season ended. You were at some event. You come home at like 10 o'clock at night, and she says, just go work out tomorrow. And your response is something to the effect of, well, somebody started working out today, and I don't want to be a day behind all off season.
Yeah. Well, you don't. There's always minor league season ends a month earlier than you, so they get more rest. So they're going to be, they're going to have that extra time to get ready to go. And we went into the playoffs, so the 20, whatever other teams that didn't make it to the playoffs, they had that extra rest. So for me, it's almost like you're kind of behind the 8 ball immediately because you went to the playoffs.
But why?
Because they get that time while we're playing still, they're resting. So that by the time that we're done with games, they're already lifting. So we're already like 2 weeks behind.
And what, like in your head, what difference does?
Oh, 2 weeks is a big deal. 2 weeks of lifting is a big deal. So you got to catch up fast. Can't take any extra days.
Really?
Yeah.
So will you, because of that, not really allow yourself the, full time that maybe you're?
Yeah, definitely throwing, you got to take the normal time. I'm a big believer in that. You definitely have to let your arm recover. But as far as lifting and stuff, it gradually, once the season starts, your lifting gets a little bit easier, and then towards the end of the season, it even gets a little bit easier. So, you're already losing strength, whether you want to or not, throughout the season. So, by the time the off season rolls around, you need to start trying to build it back up again.
I'm sure your favorite topic, the National League Championship Series, Dodgers Cardinals Game 6. You end up, I think giving up 10 hits, 7 runs. The Dodgers end up losing the game. The Cardinals advance to the World Series. How hard was that loss for you to take?
It's pretty tough. Anytime your season ends, it's no fun. So, and then when you're a main reason why it ends, it's also not a great feeling. So, we didn't score any runs that day, so that makes me feel a little bit better, even if I pitched awesome. But at the end of the day, I didn't pitch well, and who knows, if I'd given up 1 or 2 runs, they might have felt like they were in it, and they might have scored some runs too. So, you can't help but feel pretty responsible for that, and it's never a good feeling.
I know some of your childhood buddies had driven up for the game. So after the game, you guys spent time in the hotel. They were joking with you, got you laughing a little bit. How much does something like that help in getting over?
Yeah, it definitely helps the initial shock value of it. You kind of have to move on quick when those guys are there, and they obviously they don't care much. They just they're going to be my buddies regardless. But even flying back with the team the next day, all the guys were, pretty normal and joking around, saying great season and stuff. But, until you kind of digest it for yourself, it took me a lot longer than a day or two.
Yeah, how long did it take?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's, once it's, you always have a bitter taste in your mouth. I mean, I still.
Like, what do you
Well, it's
still
no
think
fun.
about?
I mean, it's still no fun to talk about. It's still no fun to think about. And so that probably means that I'm not completely over it yet. I'm not staying up at night thinking about it, but it's definitely not, you definitely don't want to fail. You definitely don't want to fail your last game. And, I think until you pitch that next game, you're always going to have doubts.
Yeah, I mean, your friend and close friend and teammate Sean Tallison said, I mean, it was obviously kind of devastating, and that you'll think about it all off season long. How true?
Well, I mean, there's some truth to it. I'm not going to think about it every single day, but it puts a damper on the season that we had, and I think until opening day, it's the last game we played as a team. So, there's something to be said for that.
To what extent is it great motivation, though?
I don't need any motivation.
Okay.
I'll be, I definitely want to go past that. So, I definitely don't want to, you don't get to go to the playoffs every day, so every season. And, it's definitely something where you don't ever want to fail like that again. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it could be like fear of failure. That's probably a good motivation.
That was something you realized, though, early on when you got to the big leagues, right? That you were just kind of expecting that you'll be back in the playoffs, and then it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, you take it for granted. You get called up and you're in there, and you just like, oh wow, I'm going to the playoffs again. Great. I'll get to go 2 years in a row. All right, this is normal. And then you go those 3 years and you don't go. It makes you. This year, I really tried to relish that. I really tried to understand that. Wow, some guys never get to go to the playoffs. I played with Jamie Wright, who's an awesome guy. He played for 17 years, and he's still playing. And this year was his first year with Tampa to get to go to the playoffs. And he was over here last night and just said, wow, I hope I can. I got to play again. I gotta feel
Really?
that. I gotta feel that again, because when you play that long, that's kind of the only thing left to do is to win. And so it makes a lot of sense.
You and your wife, Ellen, I think have a unique relationship from the standpoint of how long you dated before you got married. You were, high school sweethearts. How old were you guys when you first started dating?
Freshman year. So we were, she was a little bit older. She was 15. I was 14.
Oh, man.
Yeah, young love, but no, it was, we were, Ellen kind of says this too, is I think we were just kind of more friends, and kind of became best friends, and, we just enjoyed hanging out with each other, and we kind of ran in the same circles, had the same group of friends, and so it was a fun time for us.
You remember how you officially asked her out?
Yeah, I do. I was working up some courage the class before, and I was like in a passing period in the hallway, and I was going to lunch, and so I asked her out. She said yeah, and I went and told all my buddies in the cafeteria. So it was a good day.
I know you don't have any siblings, but Ellen's siblings and her family have kind of become your family. You said she was kind of the first person that you said in your book she was kind of the first person you really opened up to?
Yeah, well, I'm not a big talker. I'm not great at talking, especially about myself and stuff. It's just not fun for me to do for some reason. But I think she wasn't buying that, and I did. I talked to her a lot, and she was really easy to talk to, and she's great at that. You can ask all her friends too. She's just she doesn't like to talk about herself either. She's just kind of a great listener. So one of us had to talk. So we took turns, and it was great. And her family, kind of just encompassed my mom and I, and we kind of became part of the family pretty easily too. So it was awesome. And then I've always said family's what you make it. So my best friends are, I think, my family, and obviously Ellen's family is now my family too. So if you ask me, I feel like I got a pretty big family.
Well, why do you find it difficult to talk about yourself?
I don't know. I get awkward about it. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'd rather talk about other stuff, I guess.
Leading in the evening that you ultimately proposed, Ellen was actually crying before you came over because you hadn't proposed to her.
Well,
yet.
I think I'm trying to remember. I think she came home for Thanksgiving. She was in college, and I was home for the off season. And I think she kind of expected I was going to propose over Thanksgiving, and let alone I had this whole grand scheme of things to propose over Christmas break.
And how old are you at the time?
I got married when I was 22, so I was 21 when I proposed. Yeah, and
been dating since 14, 15
yeah,
years old, so you guys have been dating.
we were definitely familiar with each other by then, and yeah, she wasn't. I think she was kind of expecting that, but then that was great because she had. I think she was like, well, I have no idea if or when this is ever going to happen. So by the time Christmas break rolled around, it wasn't on her mind at all, and it was a pretty big surprise to her, I think.
So, I mean, tell about how you.
You're gonna make the guy tell the proposal story.
I mean, that's kind of an impressive proposal.
All right, well,
you're kind of being awkward, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So this is. Well, I guess I pick her up and we go to Six Flags. I guess that's the first step.
And there was a lot of thought and planning.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have a full day of fun, and we went to Six Flags, and I got I big spender, got the VIP pass, got to go to the front of the lines, and rode some rides the whole day. It was cold and windy, and it was not the best day for Six Flags, but we had fun with it. And then we came home, and I told her we were going to go to dinner, and we went to dinner, and we went to in Dallas they have the little reunion ball, and there's a restaurant that rotates around, and we got to go up there, and that was had an awesome dinner. And I got a limo too, and still Ellen to this day says, I just thought you were being fun for a date and had no idea. And then we go back to my townhouse at the time, and Ellen's sister and her brother had helped me decorate it with Christmas and a bunch of Christmas trees and stuff like that. And it was, I proposed there. She said yes. It was good. I'm sure I'm leaving out some good details, but, and then from there we went over to her parents' house, and all of her friends and my friends and family were there too. So it was a fun night.
At what point do you think she realized what was actually going to happen?
She had to have known something was up at dinner. She claims not, but it's not like we go out in limos every day. So I'm sure she had to know something different was going on.
How about faith? You never seemed like were fully interested in faith when you were younger, and that started to change as you got older.
Yeah, well, I think for me, you grow up in Dallas, and we grew up in Highland Park, this awesome community, and I think everybody kind of calls themselves a Christian around here, and so I started doing the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, and I went to church on Sundays and kind of did all the things, but I don't think it was until probably like junior, senior, sophomore, junior year that I was really like, well, what is this? What is Jesus? What does this really mean to me? What is this Jesus guy all about? And I didn't want to just keep calling myself that without having some type of knowledge. So it wasn't until I started asking myself those questions that, I really started to make, my faith my own, and really kind of gave control over to Him, and that was a big step for me for sure.
How often do you pray?
Well, I think prayer is something that you pray throughout the day. I think you're always just kind of in constant communication with God as you go, and I think for me it just kind of keeps you understanding what your purpose is there for. For me, all the things that I do, all this baseball stuff, everything in Africa, all the charities, all that stuff is all great, but the ultimate glory is not for us. We're not here to try and gain accolades for ourselves and gain fame and all this stuff. I think, the reason that we play baseball and I get to do interviews like this is to understand that, God gave us all these opportunities to glorify Him, and I think that's kind of what it's all about.
You have a favorite Bible passage?
Yeah, it's I say it's Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as if you're working for the Lord, not for men. And I'm not a Bible scholar or anything like that. I can't quote as many verses as I should be able to, but that's one for me that really hits home because it shows that God's going to give you the tools and He's going to give you the abilities, but it's up to you to work at it, and it's up to you to cultivate that and glorify Him through what you do. And that is, so ultimately, all that work you put in for baseball, all that work you put in for Kershaw's Challenge, you do it because you want to, but ultimately you do it for Him.
The kind of group of friends you grew up with and where you grew up, everybody, for the most part, seemed to have similar views, values, religious beliefs, and then you get to the minor leagues, completely different story. The first time you're kind of out of the bubble that you grew up in. What was it like having to explain to people your religious views who, were probably looking at you a little bit cross-eyed?
Well, I don't know if it was cross-eyed, but I think, more than anything, it was just people came from completely different backgrounds, like you said. So, what I've learned with, is that you love everybody regardless. And so for me, what that means is you kind of show it with your actions first, and you kind of just talk to guys and you just kind of see where they came from and what they're all about. And, they'll notice something different about you or something that you do, and they might ask a question. And, for me, that's kind of the opportunity that you talk about it with guys. But, it was definitely a culture shock. It was definitely, you come in and guys have never heard of, Jesus or never heard of, Christianity or what it means. And, or they have and they just completely disregard it. So it's one of those things where you definitely learn how to be bold in your faith because they're going to question you on it. And around here you never really get questions; it's just kind of assumed. But that was great for me. It kind of helped me have my guard up and be able to be bold about my faith with these guys. And they some of them are still my best friends to this day.
You're in high school. You visit Coach Skip Johnson.
Yeah.
How did he help you mechanically?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a whole lot of pitching lessons per se growing up or anything like that. But Skip, in between junior and senior year, going into senior year, I started working with Skip a little bit, and he kind of helped me with mechanics. I never really had a full talk about it until Skip, and he really helped me out.
It helped you out a ton.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
because it was almost as if overnight you gained 5 miles an hour on the fastball, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that went into it. I think, I used to throw kind of sidearm, and I kind of went back to over the top, and, being able to just kind of use your body the right way. And, definitely Skip had a big part to do with that.
If it wasn't for your time with him, how do you think it maybe what transpired at the end of high school and where you got drafted and all of that, how do you think it would have differed, or would it have differed at all?
I don't really think about it. I think, I mean, who knows how I would have pitched senior year without Skip or without the tutelage that he had given me. So, I don't know, honestly. Could be a lot different story.
Early in your career, pitching coach Rick Honeycutt and your then manager Joe Torre were very insistent on you making a certain adjustment. Explain what that was and how it took a while before you kind of gave in.
Honey's great, and I've worked with him forever. And I was struggling again. After I had some bumps my first few years, and basically what was happening was I had two pitches. I had a fastball and a curveball, and didn't throw a changeup a whole lot. But I was having trouble throwing my curveball for strikes, and so basically I was a one-pitch pitcher. All they had to do was take the curveball, and they just start hitting fastballs. And they basically said, hey, you need to start throwing this curveball for strikes, or you need to figure out another pitch to throw strikes, or else it's going to be real tough for you. And started working on a slider, and it was kind of natural to me. It kind of felt good coming out of my hand, and kind of took it. I worked on it in one bullpen, and then came in the next game with it, threw it a few times, and then from there just kind of more and more consistent. I was able to throw it for strikes, and that's kind of what happened.
And you've credited to having control of your slider as kind of a significant turning point.
Yeah, that was huge, just because as a hitter you try to eliminate pitches, and if you're able to throw a few different pitches for strikes, they have trouble eliminating that. So whether it's a good slider or not, it's a different speed, it's a different look, and they have to respect that. So that was huge for me.
How much is deception part of the pitching style?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to that. Definitely not something I try to do, but I think just the mechanics of my delivery are deceptive. That's at least what other people have said. They have a tough time picking up the ball or things like that.
So Joe Torre, when he was your manager, invites you to fly in the Dodger team plane back to a benefit in LA with Sandy Koufax, who was also on the plane. What was that experience like for you so early on in your career?
Yeah, it was awesome. I had met Sandy a few times before that, but LA to Phoenix is about an hour flight, so to get that full hour there and back with him is pretty cool. He just kind of talked. He's a normal guy, which obviously you think of Sandy Koufax, you think of, wow, I mean, it's how do you have a normal conversation with that guy? But it was awesome just for me to get to talk to him and really just kind of hang out.
Well, and I think you've talked to or worked with him since 2007. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, he always comes to spring training, so he always at least watches a couple bullpens. And the great thing about him is he's not like, hey, you have to do this exactly like me because that's how I did it and that's how I was the best ever. So he kind of just watches you for what you have, and he'll give you little suggestions here or there. But the great thing about him is he's not there to change you. He's just there to help you, and that's a pretty cool thing.
What do you think you've most learned from him, or has been the best part of your time around him?
Well, he simplifies things pretty, baseball wise, and for me that's great because I don't like to overcomplicate things. So, I think for me, the mentality of the way he pitched was huge. Just go compete, just go be aggressive, just go, at the end of the day, just get the guys out, and that's great. Obviously there's some more stuff that goes into that, but just talking the mental side of it with him and just seeing how simple he made things, it was pretty cool for me.
When I think you first got your college scholarship, but I believe you were at the time concerned, just how you'd have gas money to get to college, and you end up getting drafted first round. Forego college to have the opportunity to play professional ball in the big leagues. There was a moment you talk about in your book where you're, I believe, out to lunch having burgers with your agent or your advisor at the time, and he tells you like how much you could potentially make for signing. How well do you recall?
I do remember that. He kind of asked me, what would you be willing to forego college for? And I threw out some number, and and he said, well, maybe double that, and that's what you could get, if you keep doing what you're doing. And I a lot of emotions with that too. Is just an incredible feeling to know that you might get to play baseball past high school, and then that you don't really have to. That part of your life is, you don't have to think about money in terms of what your next decisions are, and that was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, but more so than that too, I would imagine. I mean, obviously, money was tight growing up, and it has to be such a satisfying feeling to know that here, because of your success, you're going to be able to, take care of your family.
Yeah, and that was a great feeling. I think it was hard for me because I wanted to, like I said before about my faith, is that you want to try and control everything, and for me it wasn't until and I worried about all that stuff. I worried about money. I worried about just what was going to happen in the future and all that stuff, and I didn't really believe that it was all going to work out. And it wasn't until I kind of started relinquishing control of my own life that everything started kind of falling into place the way that it did, and so that was a big step for me.
In what way? Yeah, relinquishing.
I stopped worrying as much. Worrying is kind of a, it's not a trusting thing. You're not putting your trust in God. You're not, and it's not easy to do. Especially sometimes you've got worries, you've got struggles. How is this ever going to figure out? And until you realize that somebody has a bigger plan for your life than you, I could have never expected in my wildest dreams I'd be sitting here talking to you about stuff. And so I was only focused on the next day. What can I possibly do to do all this stuff, and stay up at night worrying and being anxious and all this stuff. And it wasn't until I was like, hey, he's got this. I don't need to worry about this. That I kind of was relieved. And so, that draft day and everything couldn't have worked out. And I could have never dreamed that for myself any better than what happened.
One of your friends told me you go from basically having no money in your wallet at the time to becoming a millionaire overnight.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? I mean, especially at that age, because you're what, like 18?
Yeah. You just don't change. I think nothing should really change if you have $10 or $10 million. I think you can help some more people, and you can take care of some debts or anything like that you have, which is awesome. But at the end of the day, money shouldn't change you. You should be the same person, and other than maybe buying dinner for friends every once in a while, I think a whole lot should change.
Yeah, it's been reported that Dodgers offered you a $300 million contract somewhere in the neighborhood of that, and regardless of the validity of that or what ultimately ends up happening, obviously you're going to be fabulously wealthy and probably beyond your wildest dreams. And I know you've said with that comes responsibility.
I can't even imagine what that would be like. I think the first thing that comes to mind is that is a tremendous amount of expectation or responsibility that we've been given, and there's going to be a microscope on what we do with that. And I think a great magnitude of how much wealth you have is how many people you can help with that. And so hopefully, if we were able to sign a contract or anything like that for a large amount of money, the scope of who we can help out, and the charities that we can affect, and just the lives we could change with that amount of money expands, and we can help so many more people. And that's ultimately a pretty big goal of ours.
Have you had conversations about that? I mean, about what you would like to do, when that point in time comes?
I mean, Ellen and I really haven't. Ellen and I have talked about how we just never want it to change. How we never want to change our lifestyle or change anything that we're doing. It doesn't, as the more money you make, your lifestyle doesn't have to change, but.
And I know your favorite topic is money to talk about.
Yeah, that's awesome. But, I think, we really haven't talked about it just because it's not real yet. It's a lot of hypotheticals.
To what extent, even the first few years of your big league career, have you found you kind of have to take a crash course in finance?
Yeah, for sure. I think about, fortunately for me, I've got some really great people helping me out with that. And, but yeah, you definitely have to learn stuff that you never think you'd have to learn. And, it's different for sure.
How about the likelihood that you re-sign with the Dodgers?
Yeah, I'm open to anything. I think, I'm there next year, no matter what. I'm going to be in LA, and I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to have a great team, and I'm excited about that. And then, after that, I really don't know what's going to happen. We'll see.
You have a gut feeling?
I don't, honestly. We'll just see.
So ping pong. You said you're pretty dominating.
Did I say those words? Is that a quote?
I've heard that on multiple occasions.
You try and be humble, but ping pong is one of those things where it's a huge. It's up there with baseball.
Yeah, I was gonna say you seem more confident actually from what you've said about ping pong
I love
than you
ping
do
pong.
in your baseball skill.
I really do. Ping pong is such a fun thing for me. I definitely my buddies are really good too, so we've got some great matches, a lot of doubles going on, and we had a tournament. Sean and I were partners in spring training, so it's just a great sport. I love it.
How'd you get into it?
I don't. My mom, growing up, one of our friends was giving theirs away, so we got one, and I played her growing up a lot. She was pretty solid, and it was a good learning point. And then from there, it's still the same table. Never bought a table. Still the same one I've had since I was 15. So it was it's awesome.
We have wanted to play pass down question for you from Will Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Clayton, hey, Will Clark with the Giants here. Congratulations on a great career to this point and much continued success and health. My question to you is, after a long season, I know you wore down, you pitch a lot of innings, you're a number one pitcher. During the offseason, do you take a little bit of time off in order to sort of rehab your body, or for you, is it a 12-month of the year job? Have a great one, pal.
Hey, thanks, Will. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this was my guy growing up, number 22.
That's why.
Yeah, that's why I'm number 22.
22.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the Dodgers let me play first base. You know, the four other days I don't pitch, but you know, Adrian's pretty good, so we'll keep him there. But
Will was your favorite player?
Will was the guy. Will the Thrill. Yeah, so you know, I do take a couple weeks off. Thanks for and just and then get after it. So it's pretty cool.
And you've met him?
I got to meet him. Yeah, he's like a special instructor for the Giants. You know, kind of the arch rival. But I remember him as a Ranger growing up here. But you know, he's out on the field some. And Ted Lilly, who is with the Dodgers, I became pretty good buddies with him. Him and I got to talk to him a little bit, and we got to take a picture with him. So that was a pretty cool moment for me.
What would you say your first 15 minutes of fame were when you were growing up?
Well, I guess it was right after I got drafted. You know, I think you know, you get drafted, and then you know, I signed with the Dodgers, or you fly out to LA to get all your physicals and stuff. And you know, I got to go to the game. I got to go to a game, and they introduced myself and Preston Mattingly on the field. We were the first-round picks that year, and you know, that was kind of cool. You get introduced to a Dodger crowd, and you get to wave. And I guess that was kind of my first, like, wow, you know, these people. Hopefully, I get to pitch in front of these people, and you know, that was probably my first, like, wow, you know, it's kind of cool.